everyone, welcome back to another episode of Q and Egg. This week I am here with Joanne.
Yay!
And Paul.
I'm here too.
And we've got some great questions lined up for you, so let's get rolling. The first off is from Melvin, who asks, I'm curious, will Joanne appear in a future segment of Q and Egg?
I'm here.
Yes! The second question is, if the team at Ubisoft came to you to choose the next historical era and location for Assassin's Creed, what would you choose and why?
Oh, me first.
You go ahead.
Okay, I would have to say Paris. It's one of my favorite places on this earth. I've been there once, gorgeous. Eiffel Tower, all the museums, just the art and culture there. And probably during a historic period would be the French Revolution. Let them eat cake.
Yeah,
Yes.
there'd be a lot of opportunity for assassination at that time. Okay, so Paul, any ideas?
I'll be honest, the game that I'm playing right now is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and it's the only Assassin's Creed game I've played. While the others have been interesting to me, I haven't actually jumped in and played them, but this one I did because it was set exactly the place where I would have answered this if Assassin's Creed 4 wasn't already out, which is Pirates. I like Pirates.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying Assassin's
That's
Creed
cool.
4, but since that's already been taken, I was thinking maybe like Industrial Revolution era US.
Oh, that would be cool.
Something like that. Maybe
Oh.
maybe like a steampunk kind of
That would
vibe.
be very
That-
cool.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
I would like to see a Asian-based Assassin's Creed. I'd love to see China during the Huns.
Okay.
Like Mulan style.
Yeah, I just think that game, they always create such rich environments.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could lend itself very well to just the visual richness that the game has always carried. And also lots of assassination opportunities there as well, I feel.
So we got Assassin's Creed 5, 6, and 7 all lined up.
6 main series.
You're welcome, Ubisoft. Ubisoft.
Yes.
Sorry. Steve got me calling it Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft.
Oh, Steve, just making a face. Ubisoft.
All right,
Ubisoft.
so the next question comes from Varun, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. It might be Varun. It's a cool name. I would like to say it correctly, but I'm sorry. Okay, so first is a question for me and Joanne. How hard has it been to break into the tech industry for you both? The stereotype, oh my god, hot girls, is unfortunately not going away with more and more younger people getting into enthusiast computers, and Pistol from Tech Syndicate has particularly had a lot of creepy comments directed at her. I've noticed similar comments on the Newegg TV and Newegg Arcade channels, so I wanted to just say to you both do a fantastic job. Thank you, and I apologize on behalf of other silly comments.
I'd like to field this one if I can, ladies.
Go ahead.
No, I'm kidding. Obviously.
How do you feel about us getting into the tech industry, Paul?
I'm very happy about it, and I see some of the what's the word I'm looking for here? The novelty of seeing ladies in the tech industry, because it's not as common, and I'm always very excited when that happens, because I think there's lots of things for everyone when it comes to computers and tech and that type of topic. I'll let you guys talk, obviously, but like for me, I have gotten a pretty heavy filter going on for like the really supremely negative comments. I mean, if someone's just out to hate, I'm just like, okay, you can hate all you want, and I feel like I can ignore that for the most part, but is that something that you guys are able to do, or is it more difficult?
I think, well, I mean, Joanne, you've been obviously dealing with it a lot longer than I have.
Well, for me, if it's like a constructive criticism, then I'm like, okay, I'll read it, I'll take it, and then, I'll improve myself. But if it's just like, plain hate, then I try not to let it bother me. I am human. But for the most part, I do really enjoy what I do, so I try not to let it affect me as much.
Do you find, though, that because, you're a hot girl, that when you answer, or people don't come to you to ask questions, typically, and this is something I've found too, like people don't come to us to ask us questions, they come to the other members of the team, they go to Steve, they go to Paul, when they want to ask about, an interview or, doing something like that, they don't ever include us in the initial conversations about anything tech related. Everything comes to us through a filter. And so for me, coming from the automotive world, I have to say that the automotive world has been a lot more receptive to having women as part of it. And you know, if you're a girl and you're interested in cars, they're like, "Oh, wow, that's cool." If you're a hot girl and you're interested in cars, that doesn't change. Like, they don't suddenly stop taking you as a credible person based on how you look. Like, if you know your stuff, you know your stuff. And I have found that this is why I love the car community so much, is that they just, it's like family everywhere you go. But the tech industry, I have found, particularly when we're at events, you know, in BlizzCon definitely, it just like, the way people treat us and the way people talk to us tends to be not addressing how like smart you are, what your expertise are. They don't really care about that anymore. And so for me, you know, it's not really the comments on YouTube and stuff, it's actually more how people treat us directly to our face, and it's usually that, you know, "Oh, you're so cute, but I'm gonna talk to Paul or Steve about this because obviously you don't know anything. You're a girl."
For my part, when somebody does that, I try to get mad at them and be like, "Go talk to Jenny.
I know, you're awesome,
She
Paul.
can answer your questions."
Paul's good at that.
I try. It's just,
Or talk to Joanne. Like, Joanne knows tons about all kinds of tech stuff, and I find that it would be really nice if people, you know, male or female, would direct questions or things to you directly instead of, you know, having it come through like, "Oh, well, no, Joanne actually does know something about this. Why don't we go ask her?" Like, it should never occur to them that you don't know it. You know, you've been doing this for almost 3 years.
Yeah, I'm still learning, but I would say in the categories that I've done a lot of videos for, I do know quite a bit about those, so items.
I bring all my case questions to Joanne.
Oh, Steve does too, huh? Steve
Yep.
goes, "Hey, so I just want to make sure, okay, can I fit this here? What's compatibility?" And then I'm like, "Hold on, Steve, get my thinking glasses on."
Or sometimes she's just like, "Why don't you watch my video? I
That
explained
too.
all of that."
I like it. That's what it's there for, you know? Yeah, so.
Okay, so the second part of his question, he asks about the Omni. I think the company's name is Virtuix Omni. He says he knows the owner through a mutual friend, and we actually got to meet the owner too. Steve and I did at Comic-Con last year. And basically, it's kind of like an Oculus Rift with a bowl that you have a harness that suspends you in and special shoes. And so while you're in the game, you're actually like running in the game. And so what he wants to know is, do we see that taking off, since it would actually make gamers have to get up and be physical while they're playing a game?
I'm sorry. So what's the whole process of getting strapped in and everything? I mean,
It looks a little uncomfortable. It's like a harness, and you're like strapped to this circle thing, and then there's a bowl attached to the bottom.
okay,
like
but
a giant.
is it a matter of like minutes? All right, whoosh, done, pants on or whatever, or is it like you gotta put this hook in here and then you gotta
I'm
strap this
guessing
down
that-
here?
There's a bit of setup involved, but
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't take
Probably the
terribly
more
long.
you do it, the
But
better
you
you
do have
get
to
at it.
wear a harness, and then you are walking. So as you walk, the curved shape of the bowl kind of moves under your feet, so you can keep walking even though you're staying in place, kind of like a treadmill. Although you can walk in any direction. I would not see that taking off, so to speak. I don't think there's going to be one in every home or something like that. It seems a little bit more niche of a product. But I mean, if you look at the success of something like the Wii, you know, or Kinect,
Or DDR, huh?
or yeah,
Remember that?
DDR.
Remember when
those-
everyone was going crazy?
Yeah.
Just like, okay, jump here, do this, yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem doing games that are more interactive or that have you get up off the couch or that sort of thing. To me, it just seems more like a bit of a barrier to entry because it's a big thing.
Yeah, it does
takes
take
up
a
some
lot of
space.
space.
So yeah, it's more like a treadmill. You know, it's just something. It's going to be a significant investment for off the bat. But I you know, if I had a friend who had one, I'd probably go over and try it out and play some stuff. And it's always nice to be exercising while you're gaming. It's like
I think
multitasking.
gyms could get into this. I think like,
That's it. Yeah, that's probably
Gyms,
really
yes.
good.
if they had Omnis at the gym and you actually got like a serious cardio workout because you're like running from zombies and stuff, I think that could take off.
That would be really cool.
But
But-
it's also, you know, it's like the time frame that you're also working out. It's
Right.
Like you can't, what about the MMOs that you play like, 10 hours straight? You're just gonna be like, and then you're just gonna be so exhausted, you know? I mean,
It's
realistically.
like I'd love to grind a few more levels, but I'm just physically, I can't lift my
I'm just
arms anymore.
so physically pooped, you know?
This one comes from Jacob. And Jacob asks, he says, first of all, I love your content. Thank you, Jacob. We love the support. And he's been following us faithfully for years. And his question is, when planning out a new build, is there somewhere you can go that virtually builds the system for you? You select the parts you want, and the virtual system checks to make sure the parts are compatible, and things like memory, speed, and power supply wattage is correct. Long shot theory here is that if it was on newegg.com, you could even have links to products and possibly running a tally of how much your system is so far. Or do you all do what I do? Lots and lots of research, pad and pen, and good old Newegg wish list. Maybe this is your next big idea. Well, Jacob, I think Paul had the best initial.
Well, this is an idea that has been brought up in the past. As far as, I mean, obviously anybody can go in and make a wish list, pick out some parts, but if you put 2 CPUs, it's not necessarily going to say, hey, you can't put 2 CPUs in this motherboard or something like that. So I know there are tools out there for people to get lists together, but there isn't necessarily what I think Jacob is asking for here, which is like something that will cross-check for compatibility, something that would tell you, hey, your graphics card is too long for this case you've chosen, or even something like this case has a CPU cutout, but the motherboard you have, the CPU, so just something like that, intercompatibility. And I think it's really just it comes down to a amount of time that would need to be invested to maintain that sort of like database. And also the amount of time that would need to go into actually physically checking these things against each other, because there's many, many different companies that make computer parts. They're constantly releasing new ones. So each time you had a new SKU come out, you'd have to put that in there, cross-check compatibility with all sorts of different things. And it would be something that's really cool to have. I think just the practicality of designing and creating something like that has probably been the barrier to entry. So I wouldn't say it's never going to happen. I would hope that it might happen at some point, and I'll mention to some people that I know here at Newegg that this has been brought up, because it would be really cool to have. Yeah, I mean, wish lists or sites like PC Part Picker, or just or other people just go on forums, post your build, and have people go in there and kind of look at stuff.
Or Jacob, why are you giving us this idea? Why don't you go out and design this database site and make millions?
There you go.
Exactly.
You can do it.
It'll take a lot of time, but I think once you get like the basics going, it's a matter of adding to it.
Yeah, you need a lot of good relationships with vendors so you can get those products, because a lot of times just looking at specs and size definitions isn't going to be able to tell you specifically if X is going to fit with Y part. And that sort of thing.
And you would need a tremendous research team.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'd need a whole room full of people with just cases and GPUs measuring.
So many different parts, like just for cases, I feel like I've done hundreds of videos, and they're all different.
And okay, so the last question today comes from Brad, and Brad asks, Joanne, why do you always wear cardigans?
Well, this one is easy. I'm actually kind of a lazy dresser, or you could just say casual dresser. I just like to dress where, it's appropriate, and it's very colorful. I just swap out the colors, so I don't have to think about what to wear the next day. So that's the easiest answer.
Like Einstein.
I kind of look at it as like Joanne has her own kind of work uniform, and there are mornings when I get up and I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Because I try to wear something different all the time, but then I'm a lazy dresser too, and so I stand in front of my closet and looking at like my shirts. I'm like, no, I can't wear that. I wore that on Yoked yesterday. No, I can't wear that because that was what I was wearing the last time we did Q and Egg.
Yeah, but I have like endless colors.
So it doesn't matter what combination you put on, because everyone's so used to like the standardization you've created that you don't have that same problem.
No, and I don't mind being linked as, the girl who wears cardigans.
Yeah, it's pretty like your image. Joanne's cardigans, my red hair. That's just what we do. Yeah. And Paul usually is rocking the Newegg TV polo. I don't like them though, because they make my arms look like olive oil arms, and they're itchy.
Oh.
What? Olive oil arms?
It's a little, they're a little small.
Yeah, they make my arms look like I have like sticks coming out of these like big balloon things on my shoulders.
Oh yeah.
Not cute.
Einstein had 7 identical suits or something like that, so he wouldn't have to devote any brain power to thinking about what he was going to wear each day.
Well, he was brilliant.
Yes.
So. There you go. Brilliant.
I don't think that's been disputed too much.
All right, and before we wrap up this episode of Q&A, I need to mention that we are running a sweepstakes for Titanfall right now. And you may have noticed a banner at the beginning of the show, and I did not call it out, but I am going to call it out right now. So at the bottom here, there's a banner about our Titanfall sweepstakes. You want to enter that sweepstakes. So please click on the banner below and get your entry in. And until next time, I'd say that wraps it up pretty well. Thank you for watching Q&A.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.